Ohio State's defense has the answers to contain Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we'll discuss how Ohio State's offense can stay aggressive but not get overconfident, as well as Will Howard's added motivation to play Texas in the Cotton Bowl. But before we get to any of that, Ohio State's defense has the answers to contain Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, because that is what needs to happen Friday night. Not only does it need to happen, with the way the Buckeyes defense has been playing, we've already seen they have had an answer for Nico Iamaleava. They've had an answer for Dillon Gabriel. And the same thing's going to happen once again. We expect it to happen. The Buckeyes defensive players expect it to happen. There's an expectation right now in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center that the defense is going to play like it has the past 2 weeks and possibly play even better on Friday night, because they can. It's not just, we expect you to do it because it's what we think you might be able to do. No, we know what this defense can do. They've had answers for the past two offenses they've faced. No matter if it's Tennessee's offense that has some firepower there, no matter if it's Oregon's offense that has a lot of firepower there, they've had answers. And the same thing goes on Friday night against Quinn Ewers, the former Ohio State Buckeye. And some Buckeye players may be a little uneasy with the way Quinn Ewers came in, and then with the way that Quinn Ewers left. He wasn't even at Ohio State for a full calendar year, just to give you the snapshot about how short his stint was in Columbus. And maybe that rubs some players the wrong way. Use that as added motivation, but also follow the blueprint that Jim Knowles is going to lay out for you, because we have seen Jim Knowles over the past couple of weeks lay out a blueprint that has answers for Nico, has answers for Dillon Gabriel. And a lot of it is physical play, fast, violent play, over and over and over again. And a lot of times these guys that get hit once, they might get hit twice. That third time you come down, they might not want to go at it as hard as they did the first couple of times. So physical play is one thing, and be violent within the rule book. One reason why we love football is because of the violence that's right there on our football on our TV screen. We love those hits that make us say, ooh, play that again. Hey, hit that replay really quick. I want to see that again before they run another play, because we love the violence of football. I love it. When I play football, man, I love to go out there and pop somebody. Why? It's fun. Do it within the confines of the rule book and go out there and do it over and over and over. We love the violence. And with Ohio State playing as violent as they have, we have seen Ohio State's defense, not just in the playoffs now, but throughout the season. I lost count about how many teams starting quarterbacks went down and left the game, not because of they got pulled because they're playing bad. They physically weren't able to go any longer because of the physicality the Buckeyes defense plays with. And that's the same thing, once again, you need to do with Quinn Ewers. As he is a smaller, skinnier quarterback, he does not have the mass or even the ability to take all of those hits. Get back there. Get the pressure on the quarterback and be able to put Quinn Ewers down on the ground over and over and over. Now, you got Dillon Gabriel, you got him down 8 times via 8 sacks this past week. I don't know how many QB hits that were there. That's a lot. A quarterback that's not used to getting put on the ground, getting sacked 8 times, get in the ground, get it back up, hit in the ground, get it back up. That takes a lot out of you. And pressure, and more pressure. And sometimes the pressure is not going to come via a blitz. 2 guys rushing in, 2 linebackers. We know Jim Knowles used to utilize that double A gap blitz, which worked so well. Sometimes it's changing things up, putting JT right there at the defensive tackle spot, and then dropping him back to a spy, where all of a sudden there's an unexpected guy right there in your line of sight, because Jim Knowles throws a wrinkle at you. And sometimes the Buckeyes are able to get pressure because of the coverage. Caleb Downs, Lathan Ransom, Jordan Hancock, Denzel Burke, David Manosin, those guys in the back half of the defense, they're playing so well in coverage that Ohio State's pass rush is able to keep pushing and keep going. Maybe they don't get there in a couple seconds after the snap of the ball, but 3, or maybe 4 seconds in, they get back there to snap the quarterback. And it's Quinn Ewers is going to try to utilize Jaden Blue and some of the other elite guys on this team, Trey Wisner and others. Quinn Ewers also realizes this defense that Ohio State has is going to try to confuse Quinn Ewers pre-snap versus post-snap, just like Quinn Ewers is going to try to confuse Ohio State's offense pre-snap versus post-snap, where Texas is going to try to utilize a lot of motion, and Texas is going to try to manipulate the defense a little bit to try to allow the defense to show the picture of what is going to happen post-snap. So Quinn Ewers knows how to tax that defense. Keep doing the motion. Keep doing all of those things. I think Ohio State's defense right now has the smarts and the brains to be able to overcome a lot of the things, but also the talent. Like, being smart is great. Playing fast and playing physical is great. But having the talent needed to overcome some of the obstacles that an offense is going to throw at you, that's great too. And Ohio State has the talent at every level. D-line, Ty Hamilton, Tyler Williams, I expect big gains from them as Texas tries to establish the run and tries to still run the ball, even though they've been a little inconsistent at times. They weren't against Clemson. I think they had 250 rushing yards against Clemson earlier in the playoff. So you know they can do it at this level. I do expect Tyler Williams and Ty Hamilton in the interior at an Edric Houston as well to be big pieces of the pie. Maybe we might see Tuimoloau more at D-tackle, at 3-tech, and you bring in a Kenyatta Jackson Jr. or Caden Curry to be right there next to him. Why? Because that just puts more speed on the field. And where you might be used to having the big guys in the middle, JT can play 3-tech. Jack Sawyer can play 3-tech. And that may be a little bit more of a wrinkle where that speed on the outside that you might expect in a pass rush, now it's in the interior, and JT is strong enough to withstand some of the things that Texas's O-line is going to try to do. That's another answer that Ohio State has on defense. One of the best things I think that I've seen so far from Jim Knowles, and I've said it quite a few times on this show over the past couple of weeks, is Jim Knowles' ability to put Caleb Downs right there at the wannabe Mike position and just allowing Caleb Downs to play football. That's a wrinkle that a quarterback is going to hate, because where you're used to having Caleb Downs be back there at the deep safety, now you have to count for him right there in the middle, or maybe you have to count for him over the slot, or maybe you have to count for him over the tight end, and all of a sudden you're saying, well, Downs is here, and Downs is here, and Downs is here. So if Downs is there, where's Lathan Ransom? Okay, where's Jordan Hancock? Why are they in different situations? They've never pulled out this creative look before. Why are they doing this now? To confuse you. It's another way for Jim Knowles to go into his lab and to create various answers for Ohio State's defense. And let's just say you might find Caleb Downs playing more of that Mike in a triangle look for Ohio State's defense, where you have Cody Simon and Sonny Styles right there in the normal linebacker spots, and then right there in the center of them, a few yards back, maybe 5 or 8 yards back, is Caleb Downs. That's another wrinkle we've seen a little bit, and I expect more of it, because Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback. But like we saw against Arizona State, he will allow you to have a shot to pick the ball off, or to he'll put the ball in harm's way. He might make a couple mind-boggling plays where you're saying, Quinn Ewers is better than this. What is going on? And it's simply Quinn Ewers allowing you to take the ball away from him. Quinn Ewers making some boneheaded plays. Now, he will give them to you, but Ohio State's defense can force them to. As great as Ohio State's defense has been, I think there's another level, which is kind of scary, that have to tap into. And it's because of the creativity and the ability for Jim Knowles to do various things with the talent at Ohio State. They're playing physical. They're playing fast. They're playing violent. They have the talent, and they have the smarts to create various answers before the game and even in the game to contain Texas's quarterback, Quinn Ewers. Speaking of quarterbacks, Will Howard is another quarterback that's playing very well, who also has some added motivation to play Texas Friday night. We'll dive into what that motivation is next. This episode is brought to you by GameTime. Attending the new 12-team college football playoff games is an incredible experience that brings fans together like never before. I remember the excitement of past playoff games and can't wait to make new memories with the updated format and extra teams involved. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you all the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I used GameTime Picks to find tickets for an upcoming game. Browsing through the deals was a breeze, and I found great value for all kinds of seats around the venue. The super deal stood out as the best value for the event. I love that I could see the seat views before buying, and the app shows the cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank y'all for tapping in Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. A quick programming note. At the conclusion of the Cotton Bowl Friday night, myself and a couple other guests, hopefully there's 2 more people joining me on Friday night show, we will have our Locked on Buckeyes squad show. I believe Jeff Hunt will be with us once again. Not sure who the third individual will be with us after that game, live on YouTube. As soon as the clock hits 000, we will be live on YouTube, instantly reacting to the Ohio State versus Texas matchup in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Will Howard has played great football throughout the playoff. Great football in the scarlet and gray. And there's another thing that he has done this year that's surprised some of us. He has been able to find motivation in areas that would be expected, but he's able to use that motivation to fuel him to play great football. And this weekend against Texas, he has more motivation to face the Longhorns. And it's something that was a little shocking to me when I found out. Will Howard didn't play well. It was the one team when he was in the Big 12 that he did not beat. And that's one thing, another avenue for Will Howard this weekend to use that bad boy as fuel. Will Howard came to Ohio State when he transferred from Kansas State. He wanted to raise his draft stock and to win a national championship. And along the way, he's beaten one SEC school that was trying to take over the shoe. Will Howard said no. He beat Oregon, who Ohio State lost to in the regular season. Once again, Will Howard said, no, I want to play better than Dylan Gabriel today. And now you have a matchup in Ohio State versus Texas where Will Howard's like, y'all beat me before. I have a good feeling that Will Howard's going to play out of his mind on Friday night. He's also played in the stadium before. So it's not so much that he has added motivation. He wants to get back to a place, a familiar stadium where he's played and he won. He won a Big 12 championship in AT&T Stadium back in 2022. Him, Deuce Vaughn, and all those boys down there. I believe Julius Brents was down there too. They beat Max Duggan and TCU. TCU went on to the playoff, and we all remember what happened. Georgia put the hurt on them boys. And I love that Will Howard was able to find that motivation in this way to say, oh, I know what happened previously. I know when we were in the Big 12. I know y'all had the best of me. That's not going to happen this time. And I firmly believe that Will Howard has no problem realizing that Texas is good, understanding that Texas is not a team you can just sleep on. It's not a cakewalk, but that he has to rise to the occasion. And I have belief in Will Howard to do that because of the way that he's played. His efficiency so far has been off the charts. He's been hitting on throws, making big boy throws, making throws that he hasn't made all year, and at least not at this clip. He's making them over and over and over. He even has a trust in Jeremiah Smith to go out and, hey, I know it's triple coverage. Go up there and be a Monstar. That's exactly what he did. He threw the ball up where only Jeremiah Smith could catch the ball. An Oregon defender thought that it was an incomplete pass. He started celebrating. Next thing you know, Jeremiah Smith is celebrating, and the Ohio State fans erupt right there in the Rose Bowl. And homie's like, oh, man, that dude's just unreal. And he is unreal. Jeremiah Smith is unreal. But also Will Howard is playing in an unreal way. And moving forward for Will Howard, use this as his motivation, but you can't let that just cloud you and be the one thing you focus on that you lose sight of the task at hand. Ohio State's offense is going to do different things against Texas than it did against Oregon, than it did against Tennessee, but all of it is geared for the same result, a win. Will it be a 1-point win? Will it be a 30-point win? I'm not sure, but the result is expected to be a win. And while Ryan Day and Chip Kelly work to tweak the things to make a Texas-specific game plan, you can also believe that Will Howard's use of that game plan is going to be at the utmost. It's going to be at an elite level, and he's going to be able to tap in and crack all of the codes to go ahead and infiltrate every crack right there in Texas defense. Texas is good, man. They got guys at every level that are going to play in the NFL. They have an elite defense, one of the top 5 pass defenses in the country. And Will Howard realizes that. But Will Howard has a trust. He trusts himself. He has a trust in his arm. He has a trust in his preparation. He has a trust in his coaches. He has a trust in his teammates. And all of that adds to how well he has played so far. Think about how special it is for Will Howard to be at Ohio State and be playing like this right now. There were a time that Ohio State fans this year didn't believe Will Howard had the ability to play like he is right now. But you look back this year, I think he's had 6 games of completing over 80% of his passes. He is top 5 in completion percentage in the country. So there was a belief or disbelief in Will Howard. The numbers tell you can believe in him. And the stuff we're seeing right now, it's a big part because Will Howard is just doing what he's been doing all season long. And this is the guy you can believe in. And Ryan Day does too. And Ryan Day understood something. And as puzzling as it was, we talked about it here all season, Ryan Day's methodical approach to the season and going slower and huddling more and not going up tempo, even though we saw flashes of Ohio State's offense going up tempo when it needed to, a 4-minute drill, a 2-minute drill. And we saw that it worked so well. We're sitting here saying, why is this not being done all the time? Well, Ryan Day wanted to slow walk this thing, keep guys' bodies healthy, allow players to be as healthy as they can be for this point of the year. And his plan, as odd as it may be and as unorthodox as it was, it's working out right now. I can't say to perfection because they haven't won the national championship yet, but it's a really good it's a good possibility that this plan will work out to perfection, and we'll be seeing Ohio State's offense go more up tempo, where Will Howard flourishes when things are going faster, when he's able to process quickly, when he's able to get up there and just see the thing and move. It works out so well. But also it works out with Ryan Day's philosophy, and I didn't really think about going this route today, but it popped into my head. Ryan Day's methodical approach has allowed TreVeyon Henderson to be healthy at the right time of year. Think about it. A year ago in the Cotton Bowl, I don't believe he played. 2022 against Georgia, I don't think he played, and if he did, he didn't play that much. Emeka Buka has been injured. Lathan Ransom, last time he was in the Rose Bowl in 2021, he broke his leg. So Ryan Day's methodical approach, as unorthodox as it's been, it's allowed Ohio State stars to be healthy and to be ready for this moment at the right time of year. And I got to praise Ryan Day for his unorthodox approach to the coaching, even with the offensive line coach. There's been a lot of unorthodox coaching situations and decisions that Ryan Day's been put in and he's made. And what have we seen? He's pushing the right buttons. He doesn't care if it's odd. He doesn't care if it's a crazy thing for him to do something like this. He's going to do it. He's going to roll with the decisions. He's going to roll with his gut. And the result has been Ohio State being in the Final Four and being in a shot to win the national championship, which is right where they want to be. So moving forward, Will Howard's added motivation. Great. I'm glad you got it. Don't let that cloud your vision. Don't allow that to get in your way. Don't allow that to get you off the path that you're on, which is right in line with having a shot to win the national championship. Because if he allows this losing streak to Texas to cloud his vision on Friday night, it could be a loss. The Buckeye season could be over. And we're sitting here saying, what happened? Maybe it's that losing streak. Maybe it's Ohio State wasn't good enough, which I think everybody in the country realizes Ohio State is good enough and Ohio State is the better team. Maybe some Texas fans don't think Ohio State's a better team. A lot of people out there believe that Ohio State is better than Texas, and when Ohio State plays at their best, it's good enough to blow Texas out. In Ohio State's A- game, I think it's still better better and good enough to beat Texas. That's what I believe. You might believe the same thing as I do. One thing I think we will all agree is that Ohio State has been playing aggressive, but there's a possible danger of playing aggressive like Ohio State has the past 2 games. We'll dive into that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Simply visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. Once again, you go to FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com. All the action also goes down on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank y'all for tapping in Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Now is a great time to go out there and subscribe to Locked on Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you get your fine podcasts. If you're on YouTube, like this video and leave a comment in the section, the YouTube comment section on this video, and hit that bell so you are notified every time a new video goes live. Ohio State's been playing very aggressive so far, not just on defense, as we have highlighted over the past couple of days, but also on offense. It's an aggressive nature is what Ohio State has been playing with. But there's also a danger when you're playing aggressive like this. You're aggressive, you're blowing teams out. One SEC school that tried to invade and take over your home stadium. One Oregon, the team that beat you by 1 point in their home field on October 12th. And sometimes the results, coupled with the aggressive nature that Ohio State's playing with, could cause you to get overconfident. Hey, man, what we're doing is working. We're hitting on all cylinders. Neither one of these teams can stop us. They have no answers. Man, can't nobody touch us. And it's very, very easy to be in that mindset and say, oh, man, we're going to be, man, this is a breeze. We are going to blow out everybody. You don't want to go into these games with that kind of mindset. You don't want to go out there and be overconfident. You want to be confident in your skills, confident in your preparation, confident in everything going on with the team. But you don't want to be overconfident, because overconfident can be the downfall of your team. And I've been there. You have seen it. You have seen teams, you have seen players, you have seen coaches that go into games overconfident and say, oh, man, our preparation has been great. We don't have to pull out all of our tricks. We don't have to do everything. We don't have to lay it on the line or do whatever it takes to win. No. We just have to figure out and stay within this box. If we stay within this box, we're going to be fine. Why? Because we're confident that what we have doing so far is going to work. Now, we understand that this team we're playing right now is a little bit different than the teams we played so far, but we can just do what we got to do. We got to focus on us and stay in this box. Next thing you know, the team that's a little bit better than you, you're figuring out, oh, what's inside this box ain't working, but you're too stubborn to change to get out that box. You won't bust out the seams, bust out all the edges to go out there and say, oh, I know what's in this box has worked previously. It's not working now. We got to bust out that thing. And when you don't bust out the box and you're overconfident in everything you do and say your way works, you don't have to change, that's the downfall. And I have seen it. You've seen it. We've watched a lot of sports. Even in life, you see people get overconfident and it's could lead to a negative result. And Ohio State, no matter how aggressive they have been playing, they can't get overconfident. They can't just think, oh, man, we are just – listen to everybody talk about us. All of a sudden, people like Jay was on the show talking about Ryan Day this and the team can't get this done. And Jay been all season talking about, man, that Michigan block, that mental obstacle. Will they get over that? Obviously, they didn't. And Jay been very critical of the team. And all of a sudden, Jay has changed his tune. Jay said, oh, things are working well. Jay has done that. But your boys also said, that's great. Keep working. Keep grinding. Keep doing everything you got to do to prepare for the next opponent. Don't look ahead and just say, oh, we're going to be so confident in ourselves. We're going to look past Texas and think about playing either Penn State or Notre Dame in the national championship. No, you can't do that. You got to focus on you. You got to do what you've been doing, but also realize what worked the past 2 weeks might not work this week. You can't rely on everything you've been doing the previous 2 weeks to previous two games and say, oh, that's good enough. No, it's not good enough. This is a new game, a new challenge, a different team, and you got to come out here ready to battle and do whatever it takes to win. You do whatever it takes to win the past two games. Do that again. You do it 2 more times, you're going to win the national championship. Here's a danger. You can't look past this game. Texas is good enough at Texas's best. If it's best versus Ohio State versus best versus Texas, I know Ohio State's winning. But if it's Texas's best and Ohio State's B, maybe it's how that thing starts to get cracked. And maybe Texas finds a formula to overcome some of the obstacles they might face if Ohio State was playing and hitting on all cylinders. That's the reality we're looking at. But I don't think it's going to happen. Like, as odd as it may sound, as critical as I have been, and I will always be about Ohio State, my standard for Ohio State is high. And then when I hear Ryan Day list the goals, my standard goes even higher because I gotta grade you on your own standard, not on my standard. I can't do that. My standard is not for you to go undefeated, but yours, via the players, it was. And I gotta grade you on what you want your team to be. And here's how I want to grade you now. Ohio State and Jay, we're on the same path. Path into a national championship. The aggressive nature is great. The new life, the ability for these players to play with their brothers once again, that's great. The ability for these players to have a chance to wear the scarlet and gray one more time, that's great. The ability for Ohio State to go down there to Texas to AT&T Stadium and play one more game, that's great. All these things are great. But don't lose sight of the focus. Don't lose sight of preparing because you can't do it. With the players that are on this team right now, I don't think it's going to happen. It's the coaches that sometimes have been the issue. Or the coaches have sometimes been the issue. I think the meeting that was had internally after the Michigan loss, where players and coaches were there, and people got things off their chest, and sometimes conflict being a good thing, as David Siddick-Minosin said about a week ago. I think that meeting did something for the coaches that was needed for Ohio State to be on this run right now. Because let's just say Ohio State went 10-2, lost to Michigan, and didn't have a come-to-Jesus meeting, basically, after that. I don't know if Ohio State's on this run right now. Yeah, the Michigan loss was one thing, and the Michigan loss can motivate Ohio State in a great way. I don't know if things are happening right now, if that meeting after that loss, if the result of it isn't what the result is. Coaches hearing things, players holding players accountable, coaches holding coaches accountable, coaches holding players accountable, players holding coaches accountable. With all of those things coming out of that meeting and coming out in a way in a time that it needed to happen, I think that's why the thing is happening right now, the path the Buckeyes are on. I think that is a big result of that meeting, which has led to Ohio State being confident, but not overconfident. I don't have a doubt that I don't think at all that Ohio State is going to be overconfident on Friday. And maybe I'm foolish. Maybe I'm believing too much, drinking too much of the Kool-Aid. That's possible. But based off the things that we have seen, it's not just a small sample size. We've seen a large sample size of a lot of these players over years and years of playing college football to have me believe it. I don't think they're going to be overconfident because they realize, one, they have a talent to beat Texas, but they have to keep doing the game plan. Follow the blueprint and let everything else fall where it may. If you follow the blueprint and play like you have been, Ohio State's going to beat Texas by double digits. I'll say that now. I haven't even finalized my score prediction, but I'll tell you that much. It's probably a double-digit win by Ohio State. I'll leave it at that. Thank y'all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, check out the Locked On Big Ten podcast because my guy, Craig Sheeman, is a guy that puts the Big Ten first when everyone else overlooks it. Follow Locked On Buckeyes and Locked On Big Ten on the YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. One thing also is the Big Ten Squad Show. And we'll be back this week on Thursday. A little bit of a break via the holiday season, but we're back this week. And trust me, y'all don't want to miss this week's show because your boy might have a rant or two about how well the Buckeyes have played during the playoff. Buckeye fans, I'm up out of here on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.